This is a very short exercise. It deals with HTML links, which are created by using A tags. So here you can see we have an A tag and then the href. Now the href we're going to talk about in a minute because it always will point to either an absolute or a relative URL. So links point to something called URLs, which is short for Uniform Resource Locators. And there are two types of links, as I just mentioned, relative URLs and absolute URLs. Absolute URLs are distinguished by them having a fully specified domain to which they point. Now, that probably doesn't mean an awful lot, so let me tell you about a friend of mine who presently works for a company called Big Bad Corp. Their website is at bigbadcorp.com. Bigbadcorp.com, that's a domain. If I were to link to a fascinating article on 7 tips to demoralize your workers on their website, that would have to be an absolute URL, since I'm not posting my my content on their site. So the href would say something like http://bigbadcorp.com/articles/7ways or something like that. Since my website isn't on Big Bad Corp, I have to fully specify the URL starting with bigbadcorp.com. But if I'm creating files on a programmer.me, well, that domain belongs to me. Any links can be relative URLs on that site. No need for a programmer.me to be in the href. I can just point where the link exists relative to the page I'm writing. Most of the links that you use will be relative URLs. And URLs always point to files on a web server. Now that's a new term, so let's talk about what it means. A web server is a piece of software running on a backend server that responds to web requests. By backend, I mean that the web server does not run on the user's machine, but rather on the domain owner's servers. So when, for example, you type http://facebook.com, which would be an absolute URL, the browser sends a request out into the internet, and through a really remarkably complicated process, the request finds its way to a server controlled by Facebook, running software that responds to those web requests. And then Facebook's web server, in response, returns the resource requested. Remember, it's called the Uniform Resource Locator. Once it locates it, it returns whatever the resource requested is. Now, usually the response is a web page, which, of course, the browser usually displays then. But if the URL points to a PDF file or a compressed or zip file or one of several other types, the web server will return this file, and then the browser typically has default behaviors for that file type, such as downloading the file to the user's local hard drive. So just a quick glimpse of the differences between back-end and front-end, how they speak to one another. Wrap up exercise 21, and I will meet you in exercise 22.